Hello, and welcome to the Art Hitman. I'm Perry McCants, and today, what are you doing here? Hold on now. I'm gonna use my force against you.
You have failed me for the last time.
Oh, I don't know how long I can hold this, but I'm gonna start drawing right now. I promise. I'm getting weaker. Alright, so with Darth Vader, we're going to start like we usually do, is have a border just at the top of the page or below the top of the page, cutoff point, so that way you know exactly where your end of the page is going to be for his head. Or you don't have the figure's head go off the top of the page is what I'm trying to say. Alright, so you want to divide the page in half. Once you already divide the page in half and you got that part done, we're going to go ahead and we're going to put in an oval shape for his head, just like this. And with the oval shape, you always want to keep it simple and you want to make it fairly big because you want the figure to take up most of the page. Alright, once you got the oval shape in, and remember, it doesn't have to be perfect, you just have to be to the point where you're satisfied with the shape and the size of it. You can always go back again later. Okay, so you can measure it by head. You can take your index and your thumb, and then you can go down 2 more times. You can go take your index finger here, and then you can mark it. That's where his chest, the end of his chest will be. And then you can come down 1 more time for his waist. His waist is going to be about where my thumb is, just where I put there. So these 2 marks are the exact 2 sizes of the head for the torso. So we're going to go ahead and place his oval for his neck. Okay, you want to put the 2 neck lines in, so that way you know where you want the lines to be for his neck later on. And then just come right where the oval shape is at the top and just create that oval shape and make it connect to this where you marked it for where your thumb was for the oval. Now this oval shape, of course, is larger, as I always state in all my tutorials, simply because it's the torso of the body. That's the upper body, the chest and the ab area. Okay, now that you've got the oval in for his torso, we're going to move right into putting a line straight across like this for his shoulders. Now for his shoulder width, we're going to get a span of 2 heads on either side as well. So we want to go to the right, put our thumb in the middle and right on the end, and we're going to mark that with our pencil, and then do the same thing for the left side. That way it's completely even. Do not move your fingers, because that way you don't want to lose the exact distance between the 2. So these are 2 heads to this right and left. At this point, you want to go ahead and put a circle right within the where you mark the end of the shoulder and then where the oval begins, and do the same thing on his left side. This right here helps you have the structure down already. If you notice, we got the head, the shoulders, and the torso. Moving right along, we're gonna go ahead and put a spot in the center, in the center of this circle here, and draw a line that comes straight down here, and we're gonna put his elbow shape in. Normally the elbow comes right about where the waist is. If you need to make adjustments, that's fine. And then do the same thing for his left arm. You want to put a circle in the center here, and then you want to come down about where his waist is, and then you want to put that line in. Now, because Darth Vader is holding a sword, you want to come in, and I'm going to show you a little something here. You want to put a circle right where his elbow would be, and then you want to put another circle right where this oval shape for his torso is. Reason being, because he's holding the lightsaber. So you want to go ahead and you want to drop in a square shape like this. So you want to go line here, here, and then put a line here. And then you want to close this off. So it's almost like a square, but it has a shorter side. This is the longer side, this is the shorter side. And then you want to go ahead and box that off with another rectangle shape like I'm showing you right here. And this doesn't have to be perfect either. And during this phase, I'm roughing this in really quick so that later on we know where everything is going to be. Now, for his waist, you're going to put a simple box in. Nothing, too complicated or technical. Come straight down like this. You want to drop a box shape in off the page. Then you want to put the other circle for his elbow, and then just simply put a fist shape or a let's say a rectangle shape right here, and this is going to indicate where his other left fist is going to be. Okay, now we're going to move up to his head. Now I'm going to, of course, zoom in for his helmet. His helmet, of course, we're going to start off where we want the eyes to be right here. And for this, I'm going to switch out pencils for a little bit of detail. And so we're going to go ahead and we're going to start with the eyes. So So first of all, before you even put the eyes in, let's go ahead. You see where I have the oval shape here? You want to come in a little bit and put a line down here. And the reason why I do this with every drawing, because we have to know how far the eyes need to be out to the edge of the head so it doesn't look like the eyes are right on the edge of the head. So to give you an example, I'm going to go ahead and put Darth Vader's goggles in, if you will, of what he's wearing. And we're going to just put a quick circle in like this. We're going to do the same thing for the left side. Now, once you've got these two circles in, right, which represents his goggles, we're going to go ahead and then we can concentrate on where his nose is going to be. So we're going to drop down a little bit and put a line right there, right underneath the eyes. And you want to do an N shape, or kind of like a small hill, okay? And then you can close that off real light. Remember, at this point, draw as light as possible. You don't want to go too dark and then have to erase too much later. Now, what we want to do for his mouth part, we'll put a line here for now, but he does have a breathing apparatus. So it's just something that he helps him breathe because he has trouble breathing. We'll put that in probably last because it's the most detailed on the helmet he's wearing. What we're going to do is move above the the goggles here and put a border for the top of his helmet. So if you would come across the top of his, the two goggles that I have drawn in, and just put a kind of like a line, not a straight line, but a curve a little bit right here. If you see what I'm doing at the top. Then this part is really easy, guys. You're gonna come straight down almost to his shoulder and then stop. I'll say right where this line is. I'll draw a line for you as well. Put a line right at the top of that oval shape that I have for you. You're gonna see what's happening. And do the same thing for his left side. As this right here is the outer structure of Darth Vader's helmet. So then you want to create an outer line right next to that. And then you want to continue that line up and you want to bring it around to the center line, but don't touch the center line. And I'll tell you that for a reason. He has a centerpiece in the center of the helmet. And then you want to take and do the same thing for the left side of the helmet and just come down like this. So as we're drawing, we're structuring Darth Vader's helmet, and this will help you structure where everything is in relation to everything else. So right actually on, let's say about not a full finger, but right where this line is and right on the center of the fingernail, you want to come on the outside and just round off his helmet for me. Come right up to the top, stop it, and then to get more roundness, you may have to go past this line that I have here because his helmet is almost completely rounded at the top and you don't want to cut that off. So, and then do the same thing for his left side. Come up and just so that it's even, make sure you're paying attention, and then come on the other side. So it should be even space on either side of his helmet. And if you have to go back and make adjustments later, please don't feel bad if you have to do so. That's a part of the process of drawing. Now for the center of his helmet at the top, this center line represents the center. So you're going to take the two lines and you're going to go right on the outside of the center. That's how you know that you have it in the right place. And you're going to come up off the top and bleed it just a little bit above that. And now the top of his helmet is actually completed. So what we're going to do now is we're going to come around and bring this helmet in just like this, and then close that off. And don't be timid when you're doing this, because this is the sketching phases of the tutorial anyway. So don't, you know, if it looks a little sketchy and doesn't quite look like it meets the criteria of what it should look like, that's just the beginning phase of the process. Now, when you go back into his goggle area, you're gonna follow that. And actually, I'm gonna go a little darker here so you can see what I'm doing with the number 2 pencil. And then you wanna create almost like if you've drawn shades before or haven't, there's a little contour that goes above the eyeglass. So it's almost like you're drawing a pair of eyeglasses, but this is just helping out Darth Vader's eye part, or the goggle part of his helmet. So we're gonna come around just like this and close that off. Then go back and refine the goggle area where he will be looking through. And darken that in and do the same thing for his left goggle. Now you're gonna come down a little bit above the end of the nose and just close that off just like this. And then you're gonna come up with a line in the center. There's a tiny little section here that he has on the bridge. It looks like a bridge of a nose or the bridge of the mask. And then you wanna kind of put 2 lines in here. That's all, nothing complicated. Okay, now once you've got that established, you want to come on the outside where I have these nice lines drawn here for a, you know, guideline, and then you want to come down for the edge of his side of his mask. and do the same thing on his left side. At this point, we're building, and you want to know exactly where everything is in relation to everything else so that you don't forget later. It's like a map that you want to do as you're drawing and developing Darth Vader's helmet. Now, up under the goggle, you're going to bring a line that comes around just like this, and it stops. Do the same thing for his left side, and then stop there as well. Now we're going to come to the nose part of the helmet where we started before. And you're going to simply just go above that and put a cap on it. I call it putting a cap on it because it's the same shape. You're repeating what's already there. All right, so I'm going to switch back for detail with the other pencil. And then that way we can kind of know where to go from there. From here, we're actually going to put a line that comes down just like this to the bottom of the oval, and then repeat that same line like this. So right now we're just repeating line shapes. And remember, freehand, it works better because you don't have to concentrate on a line straight here, then it looks crooked here. You know, so that's just to avoid that. So you want to repeat the same thing for the left side and then come down. Then you want to box that off. Come over like this and just close it off. See that? Then you can come up again and then complete that box as well. And remember, it does not have to be perfect at this point. This is what makes your art better, is when you don't concentrate too early on everything looking right or perfect. This is the study phases, if you will. And that's all. If you notice, I put a circle on his left side. We're gonna repeat that same kind of circle on the right side. And this is all part of his mask as well. Then once you have that established, you wanna go ahead and come in off of the jawline like this, and then repeat that border shape. Do the same thing for his left side. And I want you to have fun while you're doing this and relax. Never be uptight when you're drawing. Always be relaxed and have your mind at ease. No stress at all, because it doesn't, make the drawing come out successful if you do that. Now, from the bottom of the circle here, you want to come up and just bring an arc around like this. Repeat that arc shape right over here. Right now, we're just doing negative and positive shapes. So when we come underneath the nose of the mask, we're going to come in and we're going to come right in the center and draw 2 lines and shade that in. I'm going to shade on this tutorial right here because it's very difficult to follow just 2 lines. It can become very difficult to see. So we're going to move over and put line number 2 and thicken that line. Just follow what I'm doing. If I'm going too fast, feel free to pause it if you need to. And then, do the same thing for this hole here that he's breathing through. So we have 3 right now. So it's 5 altogether. You're going to put 1 here, that will make 4, and then another one here, that will make 5. So this breathing apparatus here has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're going to move to the bottom of the mask, and let me erase this out a little bit so you can at least see the bottom. I don't want to have too many lines going on and confuse you. We're going to go right on ahead and then take 2 lines down here. It's actually going to be right along the lines of the top part of this. So you want to make that look as even as possible. And then you want to come up and close that off over here. Now, the bottom part of this is a checker pattern. So let's just go ahead and put a line here, 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 here. And mind you, because this is a sketch aspect of the tutorial, don't worry about it. Just go ahead and put those lines in and then look at it when you're finished and you'll say, oh, this looks great, because you're not concentrating too hard on it being perfect. Now, you want to close this part of the mask off and do the same thing here. Now for his neck is going to come out about where I have these circles drawn. So that should be easy for you. Here and here, you want to create his neck. So you're going to have a line come out like this and like that. And then come up here. And then you want to close the bottom of the neck off where you had that oval shape I already put in here earlier. Just meet that like that and then close it up. And guess what? At this point, Darth Vader's helmet is drawn. I wanted to throw that in there, guys. Just lighten up a little bit, because I know sometimes when these tutorials, it can be pretty serious. So I just want to add a little Darth Vader humor there for you. All right, so once you've got the helmet completed, of course, I'm going to zoom back out at this point, and then we're going to deal with the rest of Darth Vader's body. Okay. Now, at this point, we're going to put 2 square shapes right here. And honestly, it's kind of difficult sometimes to match from right to left to make it look perfectly even. So you can use his helmet as a guideline. If you notice, I have this right here, and it's kind of, I want to match the right side. So just come down a little bit and sketch it in as light as you can. It's not going to be perfect. Think about it this way: in a real life situation, The things that we wear move around all the time. So for argument's sake, you could say, hey, you know, things shift around, and just as long as it's not completely asymmetrical and uneven, you know, sometimes you can, you know, beat that argument. Now, I'm gonna go back to our number 2 pencil, and we're gonna go ahead and put the structure of the body in a bit. So I wanna move down to where his chest area is, because he has a piece that comes over his shoulders and over where his chest is. So you're gonna come in and put, and I'm gonna show you what I'm doing, in a U shape almost. I'm gonna stop there. You notice this shape goes in and down. Stop. Do the same thing for the left side, and then come down and do the same thing and repeat that side there. So right now we're kind of going to, you know, create Darth Vader's chest piece, and it's fairly easy because it's pretty much lines that defines that protective armor he has. So for the cape, you're gonna come out on this piece right here that's holding the cape. You just want to bring this around off the shoulder like this, and I'll show you what I'm gonna do later. And then off this circle we have here, just let it go right off the page like this, because that's the contour of the cape. We'll go back later on that. So for the chest piece he's wearing, you want to simply come down. Notice I have a center line here. It's very light. I hope you can see it. And then come on the outside like this and just come down to the center, stop. Do the same thing for the left side. And then we're going to repeat this. It's going to come right underneath this pair that's holding the cape. You're going to bring a line that comes in like this, and then do a thin line that comes right behind it. Jump over to the left side and do the same thing. 1 and then 2. And if you notice, you'll start to see a pattern on what he's wearing. It's pretty even. And then this part, we're not going to see all of that, but you're going to have a line that comes down like this and then repeats itself over here. Now later, if you want to, we can always make adjustments and bring the cape in a little closer, so that way you know, the shoulder doesn't really show or is not as exposed. So you can go back in and just put that in, bring it in closer like this. Now for the outer part of his cape, you want to put a kind of like a little surface right here, come over a little bit, and then where I marked it earlier, you just want to round it off, because that's his shoulder. And you want to bring the cape down. It's going to define his arm, and it's going to drop off and taper off like this, because this is called a gravity flex fold, and that's where things are laying. If you lay like a towel or something across the bed, it's just going to drape off. So it's going to drape off his arm like this. Okay, now we're going to move over to his left side and lightly put this in, because we do have to put his blade or his lightsaber in later. So I'm gonna just take this out a little bit, so that way we don't have to worry about it later. And then just have this cape come over and then do the same thing, because we're not seeing a lot of his arm here. Now we can go back in and come into his body, and he has a cloth that comes down like this over his torso, and then right under here you want to put another one, and repeat the same thing on his left side, and you'll be able to see what all this is. Earlier, this is kind of like a sash or a cloth that he wears over what he has underneath. Now you want to go back in. He has a computer kind of console on his torso, and it's a square, so you just want to bring that square in like this and come over like that. Now at this point, I'm going to use the mechanical pencil, because it has a little bit of shapes to it. So you got like a little arc here, and you want to bring a line down like this, and you want to do the same thing on this side. Make sure you come in enough so there's a border there, and it almost looks like a computer chip of some kind with information that you can push buttons and do cool things with it. And you want to do a rectangle shape here, just like I'm doing. Follow along. And then you want to put a line here, and this is going to create square buttons, 2, and then, you know, it continues down, and then you can go back in and fill these lines in. And then on this side, he only has 2 here, so you want to go ahead and then draw this here, come in, and then just make it 2. Underneath that, he has a one piece that extends down to the bottom. All right, now you can go back in and sketch kind of like just simple lines. It doesn't have to be 12 lines. It just have to be enough lines to create the folds that that's going to be on him, because he's wearing this. All right, and then he has lines that even goes underneath here. You can just put random lines in, because you know, you're not going to really pay attention to it after they're drawn in. Okay, so now we're going to go back to number 2 pencil for his what he's wearing underneath. Now if you notice, I have a curve here still. We could follow the exterior of the body, come in with the flexion fold, and then bring his bicep around like this. Okay, so now we're working on Darth Vader's arm at this point. And this is negative space, so I usually put X's in here. You can do that, or you can just leave it the way it is, and this is where the dark space will come when I shade it in with the pencil later. All right, so then you're gonna bring a flexion fold around this oval shape or circle here, and this is gonna create his forearm. So if you follow me, I'm gonna draw an arc right here, and this is his glove that I'm starting to draw now. It's one of the important components of this drawing. You wanna bring this line down here to the wrist, stop it, and then come over like that. I'll move back so you can see that. And it kind of comes down, over, up, and down again. Now, we're gonna come up and deal with the exterior of his glove, and then stop there. But for the bottom part of his glove, you wanna come in like this and then close it off at that wrist. So this circle that we drew earlier, that's for his wrist. So that's why it's important to get these things done first, so later on, you don't have to fight too hard to know where everything is in relation to everything else. Now, go ahead and close this part off because this is the bottom part of his fist, and then come in like that. For his fist itself, I'm going to go ahead and draw a circle here for his index finger. Then this is going to be for the middle finger, and then it's going to be for the ring finger, and then the pinky, and it's going to taper back. Now, whenever I'm drawing a fist in these tutorials, I definitely want you to take your time and you know, get the structure down for the fist, because fists are not as difficult as an open hand. So just follow along and you'll see exactly the way I'm doing it. Now I have the second knuckle here, so you're just going to put the line there over this circle here, and then come down and then just come around like this. And honestly, a fist repeats itself. You have a finger here, here, where you're going to come with the fourth one, which is the ring finger, bring that over like this. And then the pinky finger behaves differently because it's the shortest finger, and then you can just have that coming like that and come around. All right, so now what we could do is close this part of his glove up and just bring that over like this. Darth Vader has really cool looking gloves. So you can go ahead and bring this part over for his knuckle and do the same thing here. And then you can leave the pinky the same, because the pinky is never really that defined as these three knuckles here. Now have a line that comes in like this over the wrist. Then from underneath the bottom, you can bring it back up like that. For the top part of Darth Vader's glove, there's a line that comes in like this, where it's a plain shape that comes down like this on a glove. And this is what separates this glove from most other gloves I've seen, is he has rivets on it. You want to bring one here, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Okay, so that completes that glove shape there. Now we don't want to forget about his thumb. So for his thumb, we're just going to simply have a line come out like this and just come around. It's going to look a bit abstract because, you know, the thumb is hidden from the fist. Okay, now we want to go back to his bicep and bring up another line like this, and then close off this here and let it go up underneath that cape. Now the cape has helped us, guys, because it's covering up the rest of his arm. And to be honest, I want to fill out the rest of that arm. His arm looks a little puny here. We don't want that. So I'll just take that out real quick and just make it a little thicker here, and then close that off. All right. Now, for this side of it, he has rivets or lines in his upper part of what he's wearing, so you can just follow the contour. If you notice, a lot of shapes are repetitive, so that's one thing I want to stress in these tutorials, is that when you see a shape like this, just repeat it over and over again, because a lot of things that we wear are patterns anyway. And when you draw like this, you'll get used to things happening over again, and you'll just see them just being patterns repeating. And then bring a line like this, and it does the same thing on his elbow, forearm to elbow. It had these lines come down like this. You put them in a little darker. So now if you notice, you can see this start to come in. Okay. Now, for his belt, you want to just simply put a line like this, and then you want to create a pocket. So we just want to create a square right here, and then stop and come over, and then do the same thing here. And then put his belt line in the middle, and let this part go off the page. He has a centerpiece that he wears right here, and then it comes up kind of like a rectangle shape there. Very simple shape. And then this same shape I have here, you want to repeat on this side as well, and kind of make it as even as possible. So bring this over like this, and then we're going to come over and make sure this is even, line it up, and then come off the edge of his body. So he has like tools and stuff he put in there. Let's use our imagination. We don't know exactly what he puts in these pockets. It could be little bombs or something. And then for his waist, you can just let that taper off like this. All right, so now that we're at this phase of the drawing, we're gonna go ahead and do his left fist. And what I wanna do is just bring it over. Actually, I have it over here, so let me just readjust that and you can follow me from here. It's not quite where I wanted his fist, so we wanna give the illusion that his fist is on his waist. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take and put a thumb line here. So just come over, follow this where I have here with my pencil, and then you want to create a line here, and then it goes like this, and it's going to create another fist on the side here. So I'm going to go 1 and put those circles there like I've shown before how to do the knuckles. 1, 2, 3, and then 4, like this. And this is going to actually infer, or it's going to actually show that his other hand is kind of off of his waist here. And then close this off because this is the other glove. Okay. So we're going to close this and make this a pouch, and do the same thing on this side. Okay, now for the center of his belt, he has an arc that comes around like this. These are shapes, again, that are very simple. An oval, and then you just bring it over like this and then come up. He has a circle within that. It's like a little button, like if he pushed it, it'll come apart or something like that. And then he just has an arrow shape here. You can close it off and put extra lines in that. And of course for here, the rest of what he's wearing comes out like this. The rest is under his cape. So we want to finish the rest of his glove. We want to come in and just bring it over like this. For his shoulder, we're gonna repeat the same thing we did on the other side here. And just come around the contour, follow that. And then bring the arm out like this. You want to drop that cape down. All right, we only have a bit more to go. And I do think that I want to bring this line over here, just a minor adjustment. And then you can add lines, of course, here because the cape is fabric. And you can just continue that around here off of this shape. And then off of the shoulder, you have flexion folds here. And do the same thing for the right. And bring that over as well. So the rest of this, I'll put X's here. These are negative space. This is actually what's done with comic book illustrators as well, just to let you know. These X's so that you know that it's going to be colored in or darkened in with your pencil completely. Now, if you just drawn up to this point, you've drawn Darth Vader. And at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add his lightsaber. So I'm going to erase out this right here. And then I'm gonna go ahead on and talk about this lightsaber as the last piece of the drawing. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna speed up at this point, and I'm gonna clean it up, and then I'll add the lightsaber last. Now, if you notice, I went in and cleaned everything up and added some detail and some shadowing. Now I'm gonna add the lightsaber, which is the icing on the cake for the drawing, and a little bit of detail to his glove, and then that will complete the drawing. So when you do the lightsaber, what I want to point out is at the bottom of his fist, you want to bring this in, that pinky, and you want to bring the end of the lightsaber right like this. And then bring the end of it at the bottom of the page, right where his waist is. Now once you've established that, and you just put 3 lines here, because there's 3 lines at the end of the lightsaber is a minor detail that we don't want to forget. Now that we have this in, I want to go ahead and add a little bit of detail to his gloves. That pretty much brings a little bit of realism to it. You want to bring a line and follow this line in like this on the glove, and it just makes it look cool. And do the same thing. You want to come in the pinky knuckle at the edge of it and just draw a line just like this. Do the same thing for the ring finger. And finally for the index finger, just like this. And then bring a line around for the thumb. So this gives the illusion that he's wearing gloves here. If you notice, I add this little minor detail to the gloves. Do the same thing over here. You want to add a line here to the thumb. and it stops there, and then you put a long line there like that, and just to indicate that he's wearing gloves. Now I'm gonna go back to the rest of the lightsaber so that it matches. You want to lightly put your pencil and angle it so it completely comes out on the other side here. It looks like I have a little bit more racing to do. Excuse that. And then come up, and then you want to create the top side of the lightsaber, and it comes out a little wider over here. Taper it off, and then you want to come up like this and then cap it off, and you want to draw a little opening here like this, and then there's a piece that wraps around like this for detail's sake and come to the other side. I'll back up so you can see that, and then that creates that illusion for it. Now the rest of it is going to be the top of the lightsaber. It's just simply a line that comes all the way up to the top of the page, if you can follow me. And just take your pencil and just draw a straight line as possible to the top of the page and then stop. Now of course I got to go in here and widen it up a little bit. Always be prepared to make minor adjustments. That's why in every tutorial I say never go too heavy with the pencils. If you notice, I was able to just get rid of that and then come up and then do the other side of the lightsaber all the way to the top of the page. Keep going, and again, if you need to take your time, pause the video at any time, feel free. And then you just want to round the top of the lightsaber off like this. Okay, now once you come down and then go over and close it, that's going to finish the top of the lightsaber here, and then you want to close the line like this. Now that I have all this sketched in, I'm going to speed it up, and that's going to complete the drawing. And feel free to stop the drawing at the end if you want to take a look at it completed.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe by clicking this round button at the bottom. Also, click one of the 2 videos at the top. Please like this video, tell a friend, and share it on Facebook. Thank you.
The Art Hitman.